Heya Cryptozens. Tonight's show. Three Arrows Capital. Kyle Davies and Suzu finally speak. It's 10 p.m. Pacific and the date is July 22nd, 2022. Welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter. My name is Nicodemus and I'll be your host. The cover model, mascot, and co-host for this podcast is Tex. And together we take a nightly look at the crypto, NFT, and metaverse space and the industry that surrounds it. So take a minute. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast now because we're here at 10 p.m. every night so that when you leave in the morning, you're taking with you the crypto news analysis that you need to start your day. And keep in mind, nothing in this show should ever be considered financial advice. So it's been, 4 or 5 weeks since we've heard from him? In fact, we did recently cover the fact that Three Arrows Capital founders Suzu and Kyle Davies are in the wind. Nobody knows where they've skipped off to. You see, Three Arrows Capital went to bankruptcy court. Remember this? A judge in the British Virgin Islands ordered 3AC to be liquidated. Global advisory firm Teneo was hired to manage this liquidation. So back in June, liquidators showed up at 3AC's Singapore office. They were trying to find out where Davies and Zhu went. They were hoping to work this out with the founders, so they went to see them. Yeah, that didn't happen. Quote, the offices appeared vacant except for a number of inactive computer screens. They said that the office door was locked. They said that they could see unopened mail addressed to Three Arrows Capital. And they said it, quote, appeared to have been pushed under the door or propped against the door. So nobody's been there for a while. Neighbors, they confirmed this because they said the last time those offices were busy was early June. Now, that would have been about the same time that Davies and Zhu were pitching investors on new opportunities to save their asses. Pitches, by the way, that fell flat. And that was also around the time that Deribit Margin called them on the 10th or 11th. And then by the 13th, Davies is back to trying to get a new loan from Genesis. So the next time that they supposedly surfaced was early July. Maybe. I say that because the pair were supposed to be on a Zoom call. They appeared to be on a Zoom call with the creditors to discuss what needed to happen to preserve capital. And that proved to be a sticking point later as Zhu accuses the liquidators of mismanaging assets, and those assets specifically expired. But anyway, during this Zoom call, neither one of them speak. Their cameras are dark. The only thing that suggests that they were even there were black squares on the screen with their names written on them. They recently interviewed with Bloomberg, and during the course of this interview, they said the collapse was, quote, regrettable. But they also said that they didn't pull their money before the collapse. Quote, people might call us stupid. They might call us stupid or delusional. And I'll admit it, maybe. But they're going to, say I ran out of money during the last part where I actually put more of my personal money back. And they're still in hiding. They'll tell you that this is for their safety. They'll say that they're in hiding because of, quote, numerous death threats. Zhu said, quote, for Kyle and I, there's so many crazy people in crypto that kind of made death threats or all of this kind of noise. We feel it's just the interest for everyone if we can be physically secured and keep a low profile. At the time of writing, the global crypto market cap is 1.03 trillion. We can't have too many more days like today or we'll lose that 1 trillion mark. It's down 2.12%. The top 5 cryptos by market cap are Bitcoin down 2%, Ethereum down 2.6%, Tether, USDC, and Binance Coin down 0.8%. So Davies and Zhu, they're not saying where they are. Now, one of their lawyers on the call did reveal that their planned destination is the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, at some point that is. Quote, given that we had planned to move the business to Dubai, we have to go there soon to assess whether we move there as originally planned or if the future holds something different for us. And they talk about what happened from their point of view, of course. They admit to overconfidence. I would call it straight up degen. They said this overconfidence came from a multi-year bull market. That's because lenders saw their number go up by loaning out to the likes of Three Arrows Capital, and that's why mistakes were made. A series of mistakes, bad decisions that led us to where we are today. And it would seem, like many people, Zhu points the finger squarely at another infamous name of the times, Do Kwon. You see, Do Kwon is the founder of Terra Labs, so I guess Zhu and Davies bought into it. They thought Terra Labs was going places. He admits that this relationship between the two companies was enough to get him to overlook any red flags that he might have had. Quote, "What we failed to realize was that Luna was capable of falling to effective zero in a matter of days, and that this would catalyze a credit squeeze across the industry that would put significant pressure on all our illiquid positions. And also, if we could have seen that, that this was now potentially attackable in some ways, and that it had grown to, too big too fast. But apparently that wasn't the death knell, the fatal shot. They said that they were still working after Luna collapsed. And now we know that they've confirmed to at least $200 million in losses due to the Luna Black Swan event, and now an imploded stablecoin in the form of UST. And so it came to pass that 3AC was invested heavily in Luna, which lost nearly all of its value. Seriously, millions of dollars down to pennies. But that wasn't all. No. There was a bigger problem. Bitcoin. Quote, "Throughout that period, we continued to do business as usual. But then, after that day when, Bitcoin went from 30,000 to 20,000, that was extremely painful for us. And that ended up being kind of the nail in the coffin. So, Luna died, the stablecoin UST lost all its value, and now Bitcoin is the issue. Because while 3AC held a lot of Luna, they also held a lot of GBTC. That's right, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. See, that was their other problem. Investors like 3AC would buy shares of Bitcoin from the trust, and then you could sell those shares on the market over the counter with a premium, usually. So that's the problem. When you buy shares in this trust, they're locked up for 6 months. 6 months of ups and downs in the market. A lot can change in 6 months. Just in the last 6 months, Bitcoin has been at both 48,000 and 17,000. And that's the problem. Because instead of a premium, presently, Grayscale Trust shares are trading at a deficit. The largest deficit occurred in June, which is right when 3AC was looking for some additional funding. They were running into money difficulty. And look how far it's fallen already. Shares have fallen from $34 each at the beginning of the year to $12 each beginning of this week. The global NFT market cap is up 8.16%. Sales volume is up slightly, 0.65%. According to CoinMarketCap, the top 5 NFT collections by sales volume are Bored Apes, followed by Otherdeed, Moonbird's Oddities, Moonbirds, and NFT Worlds. Now keep in mind, some of these collections have very volatile prices, so do your own research. So Davies and Sue just kept borrowing money from lenders. The expected market rally never happened. When Bitcoin fell to 20K in late June, things destabilized to the point where 3AC could no longer repay loans or even make the maintenance deposits to their existing collateral. Because, as Bitcoin goes, so does the rest of the market. That means, like everyone else, their altcoin holdings also went down bad too. So, how much do they owe? They're not saying. A lot of their finances is still considered confidential. Enter Twitter user Dr. Soldman Gax. He claims to be one of their creditors. And he says in a Twitter thread that he's been in on the liquidator meetings, at least one of them. Well, allegedly, they owe $2.8 billion in claims. That's the short form of the meeting. And in this meeting, they decided to put together a committee. This committee consists of members from Digital Currency Group, and as I understand it, 3AC owes them the most. So Digital Currency Group, Voyager, Blockchain, and CoinList. That group is supposed to represent about 80% of the claims. Now, this part obviously didn't come from the Bloomberg interview, but the liquidators meeting. Apparently, their remaining assets are believed to be in bank account balances, fiat currency, direct crypto holdings, NFT investments, and equity in other projects. Last year, 3AC reportedly held $6 billion in assets with $3 billion in liabilities. After their shenanigans of highly leveraged, highly delusional bull market bets on a bull market that never showed up with borrowed money, by the way, how degen is that? It's like that gambler betting their mortgage payment on the ponies because they lost their grocery money and they're trying to win it back. Sure, sometimes it works, but most of the time, that's how you got in trouble in the first place. So they gambled and lost, and now they've fled. They've fled, and the creditors are left to pick up the pieces. But not all the pieces, because Zhu and Davies, they still want that money. They want to get paid. Yeah, no kidding. Both Zhu and Davies' wife are putting in claims on whatever's left. Zhu is claiming $5 million, which seems like a lot to ask from a group of people whose money you just lost $2.8 billion. It seems like a lot, but Davies' wife wants even more. That's right. Chen Kaylee Kelly, Kyle's wife, is claiming $66 million, which is just a poor optics move. They're not getting that money. I mean, it's sort of kind of equity. That means it's going to get paid after creditors get theirs. So it's just going to look bad, and they're asking for money, especially when they have no chance at actually getting it. If there's anything left, that is. It's not looking good. Oh, and that $50 million boat keep hearing about? Apparently that's old news. Not a big deal, according to Zhu. He said, quote, "It was bought over a year ago and commissioned to be built and to be used in Europe." He says it has a full money trail. I say it's just more bad optics. And that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank you, my listeners, because when you stop listening, I will stop talking. You stay safe out there. Watch out for yourselves, but watch out for each other too. We'll see you tomorrow night.